Welcome to Live Vedanta, a podcast about simple living and high thinking. We are sharing insights on courageous caregiving through Vibhishana Gita. One of the most difficult yet important parts of caregiving is being mentally and physically strong even when it feels hard. Let's tune in to see how we can cultivate stamina.
Hariom and greetings from Niagara Falls. One of the best self-development maps I have ever come across is Srimad Bhagavatam. The best part of Srimad Bhagavatam is the 10th section. And in this best part, there's a beginning to an even better part that is chapter 29. In this, Sri Krishna is playing his flute in the middle of the night, in the middle of nowhere. And the gopis, they're able to hear his flute. They're able to listen to his flute. And as soon as they do, they stop all that they were doing and they rush to be closer to him, to hear more, to listen more. And when they come close to him, he stops playing his flute and asks, "What are you all doing here? It's the middle of the night. It's the middle of nowhere. This is dangerous for you. This is not healthy." And he gives one of these. And those gopis, with such clarity and conviction and confidence, share, "You have taught us, you have guided us, that our original relationship in life is with you. And all other relationships come after." And Sri Krishna was so pleased with how they were applying and not just theorizing this. And soon after, Sri Krishna blesses these gopis with mukti. They become free, not context dependent, and even more so, bhakti. They start to love and love and love. I share this as the commencement of our class today because you would have heard me for 100 times, 1,000 times. You are a seeker before you are a parent. I feel for most of us, we've not learned this. What we did learn was we are a parent before we are a seeker. And this course is on unlearning this. Any lack of freedom we feel in our lives is because of a misorientation that I'm a parent before I'm a seeker. And one of the clearest signs of this is being too busy for self-development. Where you're tending to that functional and this functional, I'm cleaning that and feeding this and needing this job to pay that mortgage. Unlearning is hard, yet required. On Wednesday nights, Shankarji is teaching how to practice atomic habits, that is about incremental change. In our Monday night space, it can be about incremental change, but it's about inner change. To not be complacent with busyness, but rather to unlearn, I am a parent before I'm a seeker, unlearn that, and to start to feel one is a seeker before a parent. And the gopis are precedent about this. We are in Sri Rama's chariot his weapons, his armor. The second flag of his chariot is Shila. Shila in English means nobility. It is about following through with what you thought about and what you spoke about. It is very much action-based. In your workbook, the reflection, I'm reading it out loud. It's easy to talk the talk, but do we walk the walk? Does our behavior contradict what we tell our children to do? Or do we regularly lead by example? Again, action-based. I've given you this anecdote before, where when I was with a group of high school students and their parents, I asked those high school students, are your parents teaching you to be smart or good? And unanimously, they shared smart. Then I asked those very same parents, are you teaching your kids to be smart or good? And they unanimously said good. It was surreal to see such contradiction in that same physical space. This morning in Meaningful Mornings, when I was reflecting on the application I'd given all of us, if Shri Krishna walked into your room right now, what would you give him? And I'd shared A, I would give myself. B, I would ask, what do you want? And C, I would give my kids. I'm learning that I'm a seeker before I'm a parent. I'm more mature to be established in this for my children who are 5 and 7. If that blessing can come into their life, that would be ashcharya. It would be a wonder. And the point I'm trying to make, it would be unfair for me to share that my children should be with Sri Krishna if I'm not with Sri Krishna. Hence, A, then B, then C. When you feel caregiving is your sadhana. Sadhana in English is defined as means. This is the means for you to become the best version of yourself. When you really feel this is your sadhana, then you will follow through. If you don't feel it, you obviously will think it and you'll say it, but since you're not feeling it, it's still thought-based, that will not be Shila. And again, in our workbook, the application, throughout the day, write down the guidance you're sharing with your children. At the end of the day, review the list and reflect on how you modeled the behavior you shared with your children. Continuing, we have now completed Sri Rama's wheels. We've now completed Sri Rama's flags. Now, as we move around this chariot, the next facet of this chariot is the horses. How many horses does a chariot have? Please share in the chat. How many horses does a chariot have? I see a 5 up. I see a 6 up. How many horses does your chariot have? When you were commuting today, how many horses were attached? 8? You're driving like a Hummer right now, yes, with all of those horses. The answer is 4. In the Bhagavad Gita, the horses symbolize the sense organs. But we have 5 sense organs, so how is it that there's 4 horses? Our tongue can touch and taste. If you think of an infant, They use their tongue more for touching than for tasting, correct? Everything goes into their mouth. Later on, it becomes about taste. 4 horses. The first horse symbolizes stamina. In Sanskrit, horse means ghora. In Sanskrit or Avadi or Hindi, the value is Bala in English, stamina. Stamina. By show of hands, how many of you feel this is a virtue of yours that is physical stamina? How many of you feel you have a high physical stamina? Okay, I see 20%, 20% of us. Let's shift over to mental stamina. How many of you feel you have a high mental stamina? A little bit higher. Okay. I'm just going to give you some references. When we were studying in the ashram, asana siddhi is to be able to sit cross-legged on the ground for 45 minutes without moving. Can you do that? I see some of you in the highest vocation. And mental stamina is to be able to study for a whole muhurta without feeling tired or bored. Do you know how long a muhurta is? 3 hours. To be able to read, write, and reflect for 3 hours without thinking, why am I doing this? Those are some references for you in terms of stamina. Now, orienting this more towards caregiving. Bala, or stamina, allows you to follow through with what is right, with what is healthy, irrespective of how challenging the context may be. How challenging the context may be. When you come back from a road trip or a vacation and it's late at night, what should you and your children do? Brush their teeth. What do you and your children do? Not brush your teeth. It's just an example. Brushing our teeth and not brushing our teeth once in a while, it's okay. But I'm talking more about what is important, what is right, that you follow through with this irrespective of how challenging that context is. And this is a great indication of willpower over world power. People who have a lot of stamina, they have more faith in their willpower than world power. Offering another reflection. When we are following through with what we think is important and right, sometimes we make mistakes. Oftentimes we make mistakes. All the time we make mistakes. And stamina here means you forgive yourself because you have to keep moving forward. We're all going to make mistakes. And if I don't forgive myself, I've really puttered out and stopped there. But if I have this understanding, I have to keep moving forward. I have to be a better parent. I have to ensure my children are healthy and happy, then that requires forgiving oneself. Can you share with me in the chat a reason you don't forgive yourself? Think of the last time you were too critical. Why? Why didn't you forgive yourself? Guilt, because you're yelling at a 6-year-old, not enough clarity. Those are all right and they're all personal. I feel we don't know the ends, so we get stuck in the means. Because if you knew the ends was bhakti, if you knew the ends was, this is your sadhana, if you knew the ends was, I want to love my child for a long time in deep ways, you do have to forgive yourself. When I go jogging at a track, and many Davies came this past Saturday when we were in Niagara Falls, I try not to eat anything, drink anything, or rest. I'm trying to just push myself farther and farther and farther without any input. But some days it's just too hot. Some days I'm too tired, so I do rest because I want to finish the race. But if I stop to rest or drink water and then feel, oh, look, I couldn't even do it, I can't train for those long distances then. Every day is different. Again, these are different reflections on stamina. Offering more. Sheila is us wanting our kids to develop into an independent entity. But that comes through showing them this. So for us too, playing the long game, showing them that we don't get tired easily, we don't get cranky easily, by showing them this, the propensity for them to develop into the same is much higher. But if we're always tired, if we're always cranky, then they're going to see that too. They're going to think that's what it means to be a parent. Yes? How Sheila and stamina are connected. Here's my final point for now. These values, intellectually, every one of us knows about. We probably learned this in grade 9. And maybe we even developed this to some extent. But this course is about following through with this to increase the depth of stamina, nobility, and so on. Finally, to be Bhagwan. Bhagwan means the one who has all virtues in all ways. Right now we have some virtues in some ways, but we're trying to grow these. Physical stamina comes before mental stamina. Just like Dhamma comes before Shama. Dhamma means calmness of body. Shama means quietness of mind. So how does one develop physical stamina? By exercising. How many of you exercise today? Very good. For those who don't have your hands up, how come? Now you're going to share because you had a lot to do. Isn't that everyone's story every day? Who here doesn't have a lot of things to do? This is what I mean about being a seeker before being a parent. You just prioritize the fundamentals over the functional. Exercise, my suggestion to you, 30 minutes a day minimum, 6 days a week minimum. And here exercise means you're sweating. That sweat is coming from you, not from a steam room, not from hot yoga. You are sweating from your own effort. 30 minutes a day, 6 days a week. I have found that pushing the body harder is a great stepping stone to pushing the mind harder. In a certain center, I told them that we're going to flow through a 3-step plan. First, we're going to have our religious center. Once you see this manifest, then you will have more faith that we can have a retreat center. That's what everyone is working on right now. Once you see this retreat center come to life, then the 3rd step is to have our life gurukula, where anyone who wants to live in satsang, live in seva, they will come there. But if step 1 doesn't happen, no one will have faith to get to step 3. So I've found with the body and athletics, it's the same way. Once you start to push the body in ways you feel you couldn't before, you will start to do the same with the mind. 2 wheels, 2 flags, and now we're starting our horses. The Gora is Bala, the first one, and that is stamina. Soon the next horse is coming too, Bibeka, or Viveka. That is that intellectual stamina.
If you enjoyed what you heard or want to learn more, share this episode with a friend or find us online at facebook.com/cmniagara. For those on the journey of self-development, Chinmaya Mission Niagara provides a community forum for seekers to listen, reflect, and contemplate. This podcast is produced by the Young Adults of Chinmaya Mission, an international nonprofit working to transform individuals through the knowledge of Vedanta. Until next time, inspire, love, be.